continuing from where we stopped in chapter 7, talking about traditional media, which is the first kind of tools we were discussing, yani, you know, in our project and in our course. And so it's going to be the second part of your project, inshallah, which is to design a detailed media plan with your ideas and your campaign message and all this. So we start to talk about traditional media, and we talked about the difference between efficiency and effectiveness when it comes to traditional media. We said that efficiency is related to the cost and time, how you best utilize the budget that you have given a specific time, and also trying to allocate the resources in the best way possible. And we said that more importantly for us is the effectiveness, and we said that effectiveness is more related to the impact and to two many important things, that your message has really touched base with your target audience. And remember, we talked about that we're always looking for this point of contact, the best point of contact, which we call the aperture concept, if you remember. And we talked about it as if it's a bat. Remember we talked about the baseball, and we said the metaphoric thing that it's very, very similar to as if it's a bat that's hitting a ball for a home run. And we said that the bat is the message, and the ball is your target audience, and this is where you want the best point on the bat, which is the best point that the message touches base with your target audience, and we're always looking for this point. And we said that this point can be many places. It depends. It depends on the characteristics of your target audience. It depends on the media habits, viewership, listenership, and readership habits. It depends on the budget that you have. It depends on many things, but it's important to find it and fetch for it and use it in your campaign. Following that, we talked about the CPM, and we said that, of course, we talked about the terminologies, and I told you you're going to be using some of these in your projects, like the opportunity to see, that is related to the frequency, related to the number of times that the program or the channel is being aired, and then we talked about the CPM, which is the cost per milli or the cost per thousand. And we said, because why are we measuring cost per thousand audience, not cost per one or two or tens, or because we're talking about mass media. Traditional media by nature is mass media, and it's there to reach a wide audience. And the best way to measure the effectiveness is to use per thousand, because it's by nature it's going and reaching to a wide level and high traffic of big audience. Next is, now we're going to talk about the number of times that's typical that you should be showing or exposing your advertising message or your ad. And there are theories about this. So we're going to talk about the two more popular theories. The first one is the common one, which is the Herbert Krugman, and this is the Krugman one, which is that the minimum times that you have to put your ad in any program, channel, whatever, is 3 times. The number of repetition or the number of exposure should be minimum 3 times, so that you can be really effective and to ensure that the message has been reached. This is the minimum, and everybody agreed on that. Nobody disagreed about the 3 times. Less than that, your ads might be unnoticed, and actually more than that, maybe we're going to go into an issue of having wasted resources, or that being your ad will be worn out, and not attractive and frustrating for the target audience. So the minimum is 3 times, as you can see, as we said, and this is what we go with. However, in some markets, there is too much clutter. Like, for example, the Egyptian market, when it comes to advertising and when it comes to ads, it's the number 1 country in the Middle East, in terms of the traffic and creativity and level of production and all that. Usually, it's a country where they are usually, always initiating and building award-winning campaigns and all this, because it's old in that. It started from the 60s. They started making ads in the region, and there are big names there, in Egypt, really, when it comes to advertising and communication, generally speaking. Maybe the only problem is the digital. That's not that strong because of the infrastructure and because of the internet and all that. But in terms of designing campaigns and creativity and all that, it's really very, very successful, and it's booming. However, because of that and because of the clutter of the ads and the messages, too much ads, too much messages, too much campaigns. So sometimes in a market like Egypt, for example, 3 times is not enough. 3 exposure is not enough for you to be there in the market and for you to touch base with your target market, for you to be effective. So we need to add more, and this is what we call the recency theory, and this is the new theory that people see. Nowadays, no, it's not enough. 3 days not enough. Maybe 3 times not enough. Maybe here in Qatar, 3 times is okay because the market is smaller, it's more organized. There is not that much clutter when it comes to advertising. And the culture is different. The habits of the people are a little bit different. So maybe 3 times is enough. Especially I'm talking about the offline, not the online. طبعا here we're focusing on traditional media and not social media and all that. Social media is a different story. We'll talk about it, inshallah, in next coming chapters. But for the traditional media, 3 times here regarding Qatar is I think it's more than enough given the circumstances and all that. However, as I said, there's another school of thought, which is the recency theory, which says that 3 times is not sometimes not enough. And I give you the example of the cluttered markets like some Arab countries and for example, the States. This is a very cluttered market. Sometimes 3 times not enough. Very cluttered market also, and it's too much also, and so on. Okay, here we're coming the same. We're just saying, as you can see, that if you have too few ads, it's not really effective, and maybe you're not going to be noticed. And if you have too many ads, it will be a waste of resources, and maybe it will cause advertising wearing out, and it will be a problem. Here, you have to take some decisions. The size of the ad, the placements of the ad, the number and type of media. There are some softwares now or computer models that are used by advertising agencies to optimize scheduling for your campaign. For example, I have 3 weeks. In your campaign, you have 4 weeks. So you say in the first week, okay, I'll be covering my cognitive or my awareness objectives. So what is the main tool I'll be using? For example, you're going to say, I'm going to do a TV ad that's going to be aired on TV, YouTube, and Instagram at the same time. So you start saying, okay, in which program shall I put the ad? In which TV channel or channels? You can make it in more than one channel at the same time. That's what usually happens. And to make a good campaign, it's going to be more than one channel at the same time. And okay, so how many times in this program? How many times in this program? See, 3 times. We said minimum is 3 times. But what's the opportunity to see? How many times this program is aired? Once a week. So 3 times 1, so 12. The OTS for this medium or is 12 times. And so this is what I want to say is that you are designing and putting a schedule together to ensure that you have reached your objectives. You want to reach 90% awareness, right? 90% awareness will not come from one ad somewhere, just no. You have to put a schedule together. You have to know how many times you repeat and which channels, and you have to choose the right channels. Is your target audience watching these channels? Is your target audience reading these magazines? Is your target audience is it possible for them to see these outdoor ads? Are they residing in this area or close to it? Are they passing by this traffic area? You have to take many decisions, and they're all important to ensure that you have achieved your objectives. To differentiate also between objectives here when it comes to cognitive objectives or awareness objectives. Why are we stressing on these kinds of objectives here in this chapter? Because usually traditional media is more related to cognitive objectives and awareness objectives and brand recall and brand recognition and brand perception. Why? Because it is capable of reaching a wide audience, and reaching this wide audience enables me to achieve my awareness objectives of 90% and 80% and so on. So that's why usually in traditional media we are talking about covering these kinds of objectives. But you have to differentiate between 2 things, brand recognition and brand recall. Why do you need to differentiate? Because in brand, for example, if you are a new brand, nobody knows anything about you, and you're still launching, you're making what we call the launching campaign. Which one of those you will be stressing on more in your campaign? Brand recognition or brand recall?
I would say brand recognition, since you want people to actually know about you, not really remember you. But when they first see your name, like, okay, oh, I know what is this brand. You don't really make a name for yourself to be able to recall you.
بالضبط, exactly يا معاذ, exactly as Muaz said. Yes, you are focusing more on recognition, and this nice table is interesting because that doesn't mean you're not going to add recall elements in your campaign. You will, but at a lower level. You will repeat, you will try to increase frequency, but it's more important to reach actually your audience. That's what you want to do. So you want to make sure you choose the right medium. And this is interesting, this table, because it shows me which kind of mediums are suitable if I want to focus more on recognition. And here, what kind of mediums are more suitable if I want to focus more on recall. طبعا TV is common in both of them, because TV is the way we call it, the king of traditional media. يعني. It's the it's the most important and the most common and the most actually sustained one until now is TV. Also, especially that now TV can be done on multi-platforms, not just on TV. That's the same TV ad you can watch on TV, you can watch on YouTube, and you can watch on Instagram. So that's interesting. You know what I mean? So you can still have a TV ad, but it's aired on different platforms, multi-platforms. And this is one of the main characteristics of media now. And this supports the idea and the paradigm of IMC, or integrated marketing communications. Here, the rest of the chapter is kind of hands-on, giving us some information about the different kinds of medium in terms of traditional media, and TV, newspaper, magazines, radio. It's very important to know also that it differs from one country to another. For example, in the States, TV is very localized. You'll find people in the States watching TV, and they're watching mainly local channels rather than global channels. Okay, and they are interested more in local news rather than global news. By the way, the American society by nature is not that literate. If you ask a middle or old aged guy in New York about what's the name of the state that's next to you, maybe they won't know. They are really so self-centered around their own city, around even the way that the state is running their news and their media. If you realize, you have the Chicago Tribune just for Chicago, you have the New York Times just for New York, the Washington Post just for, you know what I mean, like a very localized way of even the TV channels, even the news channels. It's very localized. Like you feel that people are self-centered around what they're doing inside their own state. So that's why watching TV or TV channels or TV business altogether in the States is very different than Europe, very different than the Middle East. And for example, local channels are not that popular in our countries. We watch more satellite channels, global channels. You know what I mean? We're more interested in that. And local channels don't have that high rating in our countries, like other countries, for example, and so on. You have to understand the culture, the TV culture in each country, and how it's working, and so on. طبعا the local channels has its advantages, is that especially if you are want to send a localized message to these specific people living in a specific geographic area. طبعا it's very interesting if you can put a TV ad there and it will reach them directly, which is very nice and targeted. You know what I mean? But usually global brands, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, all these brands, they usually use global TV channels. And you'll find, for example, a company like Coca-Cola putting its ads in something like BN Sports, in NBC Action, whatever, and you know what, OSN TV channels and so on, that are aired globally, because it wants to keep the global essence of the brand. That doesn't mean it's not in, of course, it does its ads in different languages. You'll find the same copy of the ad with minor changes from one country to another. Minor changes in models, in maybe some background, in the people who are airing the ad, and so on. But you'll see maybe the same advertising message, the same flavor, the same value that they want to send to you in the message and in the brand is the same. They don't change it. And this is how they deal with global agencies that are capable of doing this twist or doing this customization in the ad copy to make it suitable for the different cultures and different channels around the world. Here also the idea of integrating social media and TV. Integrating social media and TV. طبعا some people say social media is taking over TV. خلاص. They stop. However, some studies are showing different things. Like, for example, high social media users watch more TV. 75% consumers multitask watching TV. They are not just watching, I watch TV and I'm on social media at the same time. And this is by research. And this shows that. And actually, this is quite kind of true. Okay. And at the same time, you can air the same TV ad on, as I said, on TV and on social media at the same time. Same copy. خلاص, technology now is playing a big role in this. Same thing with YouTube. The same thing. طبعا all this results in a very high recall for your ad. When an ad is on YouTube, is on TV, some channels, is on Instagram, is on this and that, is on Facebook, it makes a high, very, very high level of reach and a recall for your brand, especially if you're a new brand. Okay, or if even if you're not a new brand, if you're a normal brand, but you want to make changes in some effect, you have an effective approach, you want to touch base with your consumers, you want to give them something positive about your brand, you want to polish the image of your brand, whatever the objective is, definitely doing this strategy of multi platforms and airing the same ad on different platforms definitely increases brand recall. Here, when it comes to why they put the slide for Super Bowl advertising and all that, because believe it or not, until now, the biggest advertising event in the world, not just in the States, by the way, globally, is Super Bowl. NFL has higher viewership than the FIFA World Cup. NFL has a higher viewership globally more than the FIFA World Cup, believe it or not. Maybe it's just because that the FIFA World Cup, we have so much propaganda happening around it of different countries and this and culture and that. But when it comes to actual viewership, the Super Bowl is still number one. The NFL, the National Football League, which is a very local American event, sports event. However, even though a channel like beIN Sports, for example, they air it. They have a channel for it. They put the finals, they put the playoffs, they put the final matches. People are watching it around the world. People are watching it, 110 million plus viewers. People are watching it around the world. So if you are a global brand, so for you, to put your ad in Super Bowl matches, it's like you are like this, you are spreading the message like this. It's one of the best outlets for you as a global brand, given the very high level of viewership, not just inside the States but also globally. So that's why we close this discussion about TV ads and using TV ads about Super Bowl, because it is really a big business. Super Bowl advertising, it's a big business. It's a big business. Tamam? Okay. Let's go back. Let's move on and talk about something that is extremely, extremely important, which is the storyboard. What's this? طبعا, look, for each and every tool, communication tool that you shall be using in your media plans, in your implementation, week by week, that you're going to be choosing to cover your marketing objectives, your IMC objectives, you have to do what we call a creative sample. Okay, what does this mean? If you are suggesting, for example, let's suggest, for example, that you are telling me, okay, doctor, in the first week we're gonna have a TV ad, and it's gonna be used for maximizing our awareness objectives to reach 90% awareness about our campaign, and we'll be using this TV ad in the channel X how many times, and everything, CPM, everything is okay. And then, does it make sense to you if you have a client and you want to show him this campaign, or show him the ideas of your campaign, that you actually get the models and get the stuff and the production and go and shoot the ad? Does this make sense to you? You're still taking the opinion of your client? Will you do that? Will you do that? You go and shoot the ad and get the people and models and the props and the production and just go and shoot the whole ad and then bring the customer and show it to him. Would you do that?
It would be just a waste of a lot of money and time and resources.
Exactly.
Like it doesn't make sense. What if he just doesn't like it? What if he doesn't like it?
Exactly, and this is very possible. He has a point of view. Okay, no, I'm sorry, I don't want Elisa in the ad. I want Nancy Agram instead. Oh no, I don't think it's nice to shoot this ad outdoor. Why don't we try an indoor atmosphere? Why don't we change the music? Why don't you do this one? There has to be a point of view. You are doing what you call a pitch presentation. You are presenting your ideas to the customers. Okay, as an advertising agency, you are still presenting your ideas to the client. So you cannot present it by spending millions or thousands of dollars. It's impossible. So this is why we have what we call is creative samples. The creative sample for TV ads is what we call a storyboard. the creative sample for each and every tool. There's a creative sample. I will be sending you, inshallah, the list of the different creative samples on Blackboard very soon. So you can know for each tool what's the creative sample. There's creative samples for traditional tools, and there's creative samples also for alternative marketing techniques and social media tools and so on. So for traditional tools, here in TV, specifically TV ads, we have what's called a storyboard. What's a storyboard? A storyboard is very similar to what you're seeing here, which is an ad for Nike. Here, it's a number of scenes that are going يعني ايه consequently كده, or consecutively. Scene number 1, you have audio and video. Scene number 2, picture and then audio and video. Scene number 3, picture or sketch and then audio and so on. تمام? So it's a number of scenes that are going after each other in a sequence consecutively, and they have a picture. It can be a sketch. You can use cartoon, you can use sketching with a pencil, you can just draw diagrams, whatever. And you have two things. What's the audio in the scene? What's the video in the scene? And they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 10, whatever, how it depends how long your ad is. And also you show how your campaign message will appear in the ad, in the middle and the end, at the beginning. يعني it depends طبعا on the scenario of the ad. Also it depends on your message appeal. يعني what appeals are you going to be using, right? And what executional framework are you choosing? It depends also how you're going to execute the storyboard. So this is an interesting and cheap way, although storyboards sometimes can be a little expensive because some people now started using softwares and stuff like this, but still nothing compared to going and actually producing the ad. Nothing compared to it. It's still cheap. And it's interesting, creative, and very lively way of presenting your idea for your ad, and at the same time getting your customer closer to your ideas and letting them understand what are you going to do or what is the story behind the ad and so on. So this is what we call a storyboard, and this is the creative sample for TV or video ads. Is it clear? Any questions? Tamam? It's okay. Next, we're going to be talking about radio. Radio, يعني, of course, a different kind of story because it all depends on the listenership. And the only actual sense that you are talking to is the ears. Okay. So you have to be very impressive. And you have to be to the point. And you have to try to find a triggerer inside the ad. Try to attract attention in the words that you are using, in the language, in the tone of the voice, in everything. Some people are paid just to speak because they have nice voice or they have a nice way of talking and they know how to attract people. Okay, so radio ads. And to talk about localized about Qatar, I think that radio ads in Qatar is really booming. New radio channels are being inaugurated nowadays. Not just that, Qatar is a very interesting country because it encompasses many different nationalities and backgrounds and ethnic backgrounds and religions and so on. So really this country is very interesting because the way that it deals with the different kinds of people around. They have radio channels in English, we have in French, we have in Arabic. I know Arabic by default. I think we also have maybe Indian channels. يعني Qatar is really doing a lovely job in encompassing يعني making people here feel that they are يعني at home and that the news is being localized, the channels are being localized to meet and their tastes and their needs. And this is opening opportunities for advertising and opening opportunities for communication. You know what I mean? In Dubai, there is a Virgin Megastore. They have a radio channel, very successful, by the way, and very popular in the Emirates. Virgin Megastore radio channel, and طبعا is dedicated for youth and so on. Just a second. Okay, sorry guys. So I think that radio is an opportunity here in Qatar. Yani if your target audience are listening to the radio, I think radio is interesting يعني outlet يعني when it comes to Qatar يعني. طبعا it depends on your target audience and if they are radio listeners or no and so on. طيب. This is يعني some sort of a bonus slide about showing the expenditure is the art of home advertising, which is our next tool. This is outdoor or art of home advertising. Another very interesting mass media tool or traditional tool, which is outdoor ads or out of home advertising. Here, out of home advertising يعني has to be also extremely attractive. It has to have a very high level of stopping power because you are actually driving. The consumer is driving. Okay, in some countries it is extremely cluttered. يعني أنا if I show you the 6th, we have a bridge in Egypt. It's called 6th of October bridge. Okay, if I show you pictures for this bridge, you will be shocked. It's extremely cluttered in a way that you will never يعني imagine. Okay, يعني so let me wait. Actually, I found the image. Let me share the image with you. One second. To show you how cluttered it is. So you have to find a way to break through this clutter. So you have to have a copy that's very attractive يعني, to be able to break through this clutter. And let me show you quickly what we mean by clutter, to show you that you have to be extremely attractive when it comes to outdoor advertising so that you can make sure that while the person is driving, your message has reached in a second. So you have to use the right fonts, the right language, the right images. Some people don't understand consumer behavior and they use very small fonts in outdoor ads. How will they read it? It's seconds. So they had to be big enough for this is why this is why you have to study consumer behavior before you come to this course, because you study this in consumer behavior. Remember the minimum threshold theory? Did you take this in consumer behavior? Of course. The threshold theory is that that we see the world through our senses, as that each sense has a minimum and has a maximum. You have to make sure that you are sending your message somewhere in between. And we cannot hear the ants, right? Can you hear the ants walking? No, it's not, the human doesn't hear this. At the same time, there are some sounds that comes from dogs, by the way, that we cannot hear because it's beyond our hearing pitch. And this is what we call the threshold, the minimum threshold. It's a theory in consumer behavior that all of you should know yani, from consumer behavior. But anyway, okay, have a look at that. This is 6th of October bridge. Can you see the clutter? Can you see how cluttered it is? Huh? It's crazy. Where are you going to put your ads? How many ads are you going to see? How many ads are you going to miss when you're driving? So it's really interesting to see that, yes, it is very cluttered. So you have to really try to break through. يعني طبعا in Egypt advertising is a totally different level يعني. It's like crazy, especially, and it's like the States, by the way. And I've been to the States. I've been to very similar to the States. And if you go to New York Times Square, it's very similar to 6th of October Bridge, and very similar to many places in Egypt. The way that they put the ads, how crazy it is. How many ads can you see if you stand in the middle of Times Square? How many outdoor ads can you see? Hundreds. Can you imagine? Hundreds in one place. It's too much clutter. So you have to break through the clutter. You have to have the ability to do that. Stopping power is the key word here. Stopping power. Okay, you have to have stopping power. It's much easier to have stopping power in Qatar than to any other country. Because in Qatar, things are more organized and calm. There is no this huge clutter and in advertising messages. So it's much easier to do that. So here you have an advantage actually in Qatar. And you know, when they put this, when Sidra first opened, remember, and they put this child on the model of the child on the floor. Remember that? It was like a doll or something. It was like modeling. You don't remember this? Do you remember this or no? You don't remember it? It
I
was
don't
so
remember it, I'm not sure.
no, oh my God, everybody saw it because it was like, oh my God, wow, they put the image of the
I do remember it. It's like inside.
yeah. Everybody saw it because this is how it is, and this is not common here in Qatar. So it's easy to attract attention. If you do something that's extravagant here, it will really, you really look at it. It will really have a huge stopping power. Let me give you a nice example of this ad. It's very interesting. This is a park making a campaign. It's called Unleashed, and it's basically an indoor dog park. Okay, for an indoor dog park for taking your dogs indoor. So it's a nice opportunity to let them go and unleash them and let them just go in the park without any supervision, and this because it's indoor, it's closed, so it's safe and so on. So it's an ad for this park. The ad is very interesting. It's 3 ads after each other, yani 1, 2, 3. So as you're going with your car, you see the ads after each other. The first one is like this: the dog and with the leash, and this is jumping. Okay, that's it. So very normal, easy. Next ad is like that: the leash is gone and the dog is like set free, and then you have the words of Unli. طبعا Unli will, as a driver or as a consumer or as an audience, you will guess that it's unleashed. It's easy. If you know English, basic English, you will know. Okay, so you're like, oh, Unli, so it's unleashed. So it even lets you think and lets you be very curious to see the next one coming, which is the ad itself, which is Unleashed. That's the name of the park. Okay, and then you have the dog that's totally unleashed from the his whatever the thing that's holding him, his leash, yani, actually, and as you see, it's daycare. It's a place for grooming your dog. It's an indoor place and very simple. And as you can see, do you have too much text? No. It's to the point. Okay, as you can see, very simple. The image says it all in a very simple way, not using even too much colors, but it's very attractive. It's very attractive. So outdoor ads also is very interesting. طبعا some of its problems are a little bit localized and the areas that you are dealing with, sometimes unnoticed if it's too cluttered and not attractive. يعني it's interesting traditional tool. Magazines, newspapers comes next. طبعا magazines is a more niched and localized tool. يعني magazines, because it's usually magazines is like for farmers, for example, fashion designers, for sports people, for people who are interested in cooking. يعني magazines is interesting because it actually reaches the type of audience that you are يعني specifically targeting. It's very targeted medium. One of the main advantages of magazines also, by the way, is the quality of the production of a magazine. The quality of the production of a magazine is very interesting. It's usually very high, so it enables you to make nice copies like this one, for example. Look and observe how they write the text in this ad. Very interesting. The advertising, the message, the campaign message, feel the moment. Look how the way feel is written. PH, like Philadelphia, because this is an ad for Philadelphia cheese, and it shows that how Philadelphia, anything you're gonna dream about in the flavors, we're gonna do it for you. You can dip it, and you can dip it and you can taste it. So it's very interesting, very simple, and look at the quality of the copy in a magazine. So this is the advantages of magazines, of course, that it is. However, طبعا declining readership for sure. Also, there is a clutter for sure. People started to read magazines online, exactly like TV and like everything else. So it's transforming, but there is still a business for magazine around the world. The least one is the newspapers, but the last one when it comes to this is the newspaper. Why? Because newspapers is really now people are really shifting to reading newspapers online. They stopped. First of all, the quality of the newspaper is very poor. So the ads maybe they didn't look attractive in newspapers. That's the production. That's the problem. Although there is some enhancement in this, but still it's a problem. And as I said, in some countries, like the States, for example, no, there is still a big business for print newspapers. They are being bought. and they're being distributed in many of the big, especially the big cities in the States. But still, some people prefer to read newspapers online, especially in this part of the world. A part of the world which is modern, high technology, new part of the world, like Qatar and this area, where the online news is key and used more frequently and used more, and even the online media compared to actual readership of physical newspapers and so on. But the newspaper business for many years has been the leading medium, by the way, when it comes to traditional media. Now, not anymore. It's very important to know. I'm going to finish this chapter. خلاص, last 2 or 3 slides. At the end, you have to know how to choose the right mediums to be able to deliver your advertising message and to be able to cover your objectives, and specifically your cognitive and your awareness and your recall objectives, and that usually are in your first week or maximum 2 weeks of your campaign. And you can use the same medium across the whole 4 weeks or the duration of your campaign. You can use it in the beginning and then start to use other mediums and so on. The launching time can be different than at the same time. When are you going to stop? The blend, you have to choose the best blend. Shall I do some outdoor ads, for example, and a TV ad? That's, for me, that's enough. That will cover my cognitive and awareness objectives, for example. Another brand will say, no, I will go with radio and outdoor. I don't have the budget for TV ads, for example. It's too expensive, and so on. You have to know how to choose the right tools and the right blend and the right mix, so that you can reach what we call the media multiplier effect, which is having the highest and strongest impact and being able to cover specifically your cognitive objectives. Next is just a small example of the advertising expenditure for Coca-Cola Company, one of the leading global brands, from top 10 brands. But actually, it's a little bit old. I think if we have the same chart nowadays, it will be a little bit different. This 2009. I think if we get the same chart now, I think it will be a little bit different. I don't think they're spending all this money on TV and only very minor on the internet. I think maybe the internet will be more. They're still spending on TV, by the way. TV is key for Coca-Cola, but I think other things will have increased as well. 2021, things will be different. Last slide is that you are just to put it all to summarize this interesting chapter, to know what are you doing. First of all, who is your target market? What is your market characteristics? And this is all in your marketing briefs. Okay, who is your target market? Who are you targeting? What are their main characteristics? Demographically, psychographically, behaviorally. Describe them. What is their media habits? Okay, so that you can make your media choices. What is the level of viewership, listeningship, hearingship for your different target audience? And what are the different kinds of media that's most suitable for them, for their age, for their psychographic, for their lifestyle, for their gender, and so on, and make your appropriate choices. And all this is going to help you to maximize the reach of your message content, for sure, and your campaign. So I will stop here, and this is the end of chapter 7, traditional media. Next, inshallah, we'll be talking about digital media.